I'd say maybe 2 or 3 ways that I use them frequently would be in the lesson plan format that we have here at the school. We use GNOG, and the A stands for like access and prior knowledge. So lots of times, well, most times, I like to use a video if I can, if it's applicable. For example, last week we're doing carnivorous plants, and so in the story it was like 5 or 6 different carnivorous plants, and so every day we would just watch a 5 or 6 minute informational video on the Venus flytrap, a pitcher plant, and kids are just interested in that. Another way is we have vocab once a week. Students are in charge of presenting their vocab words and answering the questions from the class, and then and giving a skit. I like to videotape the kids doing that, and then on our Moodle page we have this kind of growing glossary of terms, and I put those videos up. Kids like to go back and see how well they did. I think that also helps with just their them being second language learners. Anytime they watch themselves speak, it's a good learning tool to speak better the next time. And lastly, I would say in science we have a lot of hands-on activities. We use FOSS kits, and while they're in these investigations, which are the challenges that they have to do, I like to go around and videotape them while they're doing that. Also ask them, what are you working on right now? Hopefully they're using the vocabulary. And then at the end of the lesson, I might take 3 or 4, little clips that I thought kids were speaking, that I want to highlight a kid who did real well speaking it or articulating well what he was trying to work on, and someone who maybe didn't do so well. And then I'll just throw them up kind of as a closure for the lesson. And kids, again, they have an opportunity to see themselves, to hear themselves. It just kind of reinforces what the goals that I had for that lesson. I think those are probably the simple ways that I use videos in the classroom.
To give you an example, a couple weeks ago we were studying similes and metaphors in figurative language, and I found a YouTube video that took similes and metaphors from current pop songs and pop videos, and we watched that in class, and then the students did a homework assignment finding their own similes and metaphors in music and pop culture. Students are also given the option of responding to literature through video. So for example, last week students wrote an essay, an autobiographical narrative essay, and had to present it to the class. And one of the options was to create a video trailer. So a couple of students made a video and posted it on YouTube to supplement their autobiographical essay.
I'll give you examples of how I use videos. For example, we'll use them as supplemental materials. We were talking about gender units, so went online and we found a TED Talks as a presenter, giving gender discussions. Currently in my 11th grade class, they are creating documentaries, and so they have to use video editing tools. So we incorporate internet materials as well as they have to create the actual video for presentation's sake. We've had videos for self-examination, so if they have a presentation in class, I'll videotape them, I'll make them watch it, and then respond to me after watching the video and say, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong. There are multiple ways I've used it, but those are 3 of my favorites.
Do you find those to be particularly beneficial in your curriculum?
When they get to see themselves in their presentations, absolutely. They sit there and they go, and then when they see all those ums, they get to make that adjustment, maybe do a better presentation next time.
Yeah, I think for me the most important way that I use video is for math instructions. So if I go over a concept for the students that's new, I can give them examples on the board as many times as I like, but then also when they are home and say they didn't remember or they were struggling during class but were afraid to raise their hand, I can place a video that will go over the same exact process that I was trying to show them in school. So I think that's the most useful form of video for me.
Where do you usually find those videos?
Either YouTube, which also come from the Khan Academy, and then also there are teachers who have filmed themselves many a time and have placed them on YouTube.
Do you...
Something I would like to do too.
Okay. Do you do this on average once a week or once a unit?
I'd say at least twice a week, almost sometimes anytime there's a new concept, I'll have some sort of video, either with more that has more visual aids than I can have in the classroom or something like that will emphasize the fact.
Awesome. Any other times you can think of that you use videos? Maybe not in math class, but in
Okay,
your
yeah,
history classes?
In history, I use it to maybe introduce a topic, whether it's a documentary or even, say, a funny cartoon or like a Hollywood type produced movie to maybe not the whole movie, but a segment of it that will get them excited about the history of a certain civilization.
Awesome.
In my biology class, I use videos in a number of different ways. One of the first ways I use videos is to introduce a topic to the kids so they see it in action and they see and hear some of the initial terms that we'll be covering, and then I can use that video as a reference point as I introduce and teach about those topics. I'll also use the same format to review a unit or a chapter where the kids can see the topics they've learned about and see them in action in a specific ecosystem. When it comes to labs, I'll quite often use labs to introduce and teach a lab procedure so the students can come to the lab class and do the procedure having already seen it and understood it, so I don't have to take class time to demonstrate it. I'll also use some of the really high quality videos on Khan Academy or other websites to actually teach it when they can do a better job than I can do, and it's just a different way for the students to learn.
You mentioned Khan Academy. Do you use any other sources for finding videos?
For AP Biology, I use a website called Bozeman Bio, which is an AP Bio teacher who's put up some fantastic videos, and that's where I get my lab procedure videos from.